Imagine a scene that seems impossible. Two legends, each at the absolute peak of their craft, standing in the same room. On one side, you have Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight boxing champion, a man whose presence alone commands attention. Towering, muscular, and radiating confidence. Every move he makes signals raw power honed by years of training and a lifetime of fights. On the other side, Bruce Lee, smaller in size, seemingly slight compared to Ali, but moving with a precision and speed that few could comprehend. A martial arts genius, calm, focused, every motion measured, every breath controlled. Now, imagine these two icons facing each other. Not on a stage, not in a tournament, but in a private encounter where skill and instinct collide. The tension in the air is palpable. Every observer, whether trainer, student, or friend, knows something extraordinary is about to happen. The mismatch in size is obvious. Ali's reach and mass seem overwhelming. Bruce's smaller frame and lean muscle might look vulnerable to an untrained eye. But something about Bruce's calm focus makes you question everything you thought you knew about strength and power. This isn't a story of brute force or conventional competition. It's a test of what happens when raw size meets lightning-fast skill, when confidence faces calm precision, when experience meets innovation. There's a question burning in the room, one that every observer and every viewer is asking silently. Can sheer skill really overcome massive strength? Can someone smaller truly hold their own against an unstoppable force? And then the moment comes. The two men move, not with aggression for show, not with stage choreography, but with instinct, timing, and understanding of the human body. A few seconds pass, and every preconceived notion about power is about to be challenged. What happens next doesn't just surprise those watching. It changes how you think about strength, strategy, and the very meaning of combat. In the next few moments, you'll witness how size and reputation don't always dictate the outcome. You'll see how a single, well-placed action can redefine what it means to be powerful. And by the end of it, the question you were asking, the one hovering over the entire room, will have a startling answer, one that leaves everyone questioning assumptions they've held for years. So, who really has the upper hand? The unstoppable heavyweight champion, or the small, lightning-fast martial artist? The room is charged with a tension you can almost touch. It's a private training hall tucked away in the city, far from the crowds and cameras that follow legends like Muhammad Ali. The walls are lined with worn wooden panels, echoing the sounds of countless hours of practice and the thud of heavy punches against bags that have absorbed decades of effort. The air is thick with the smell of sweat, liniment, and the faint metallic tang of old equipment. Sunlight filters through narrow windows, cutting across the polished floor in sharp, angled beams, illuminating dust motes dancing in the stillness. Every detail tells you this is a place built for focus, for mastery, for testing limits, not for show. It is mid-1960s, a time when martial arts were beginning to enter the mainstream, but few outside Asia truly understood their depth. Boxing, on the other hand, dominates every headline, every gym conversation. Ali is at the height of his fame, already a living legend. He moves into the hall with the kind of confidence that can dominate a room before a single punch is thrown. His presence is magnetic, commanding. Every step carries weight, not just physically but psychologically. His reputation precedes him, undefeated, fast, clever, and brimming with charisma. He's the embodiment of raw power paired with strategy, a living demonstration of what countless hours of rigorous training and natural talent can achieve. And then there's Bruce Lee. He enters quietly, carrying only a small duffel bag. At first glance, he seems almost unremarkable, lean, compact, nothing like the towering figure of Ali. But there's a precision in his movement, a calm that seems to radiate from every part of his body. Even standing still, there's energy in him, coiled, controlled, ready to spring. His eyes scan the room, taking in the space, the lighting, the subtle shifts in Ali's posture. Every inch of him communicates discipline, mastery of body and mind, and a confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. The contrast between them is immediate and undeniable. Ali's size and presence scream dominance. Bruce's compact frame and poised calm suggest a different kind of threat. And that is where the question lingers in the air, heavy and impossible to ignore. Can someone smaller, more precise, and seemingly fragile really match, or even outmaneuver, a powerhouse of Ali's size, speed, and reputation? Every observer in the room, even those standing silently in the corners, can feel it. Sounds matter here. The soft scrape of shoes on the wooden floor, the subtle swish of Bruce adjusting his stance, Ali's controlled breathing, the distant hum of the city outside. All of it builds an atmosphere that is both tense and hypnotic. Movements that might seem insignificant, the shift of weight, the flick of a wrist, the slight inhale, take on enormous meaning. The room itself seems to contract around the two men, focusing attention, heightening awareness, sharpening anticipation. And yet, the tension isn't aggressive. There is no immediate hostility, only the anticipation of what might happen when these two very different forces finally interact. The question hangs in the room. Will raw power overpower precision? Or will disciplined technique prove its worth against overwhelming size and strength? Imagining being in that hall, feeling the atmosphere, smelling the sweat, sensing the potential energy coil between the two men. Here, in the space and moment, the stage is set. The environment, the timing, the energy of both men, and the unspoken question create a perfect storm. One misstep, one perfectly timed movement could answer the question in an instant. And yet, neither seems in a hurry. Every detail matters. Every motion is deliberate. The scene is not just a prelude. It is the crucible in which the answer will emerge, the very definition of size versus skill about to be tested. The tension in the hall thickens as Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee size each other up, not with words, but with subtle gestures, posture, and gaze. Ali, accustomed to being the biggest presence in any room, lets his eyes sweep over Bruce's smaller frame. There's a brief, almost imperceptible smirk. His thoughts, unspoken but obvious to those watching, seem to be, this man is no threat. Too small, too light. I've faced giants and monsters bigger than him. Every movement Ali makes radiates confidence, his shoulders relaxed but ready, hands casually held at his sides, the slightest bounce in his step that betrays the lightning speed packed behind each punch. Bruce, in contrast, moves with an economy of motion that immediately sets him apart. He's calm, centered, each breath controlled, every tiny adjustment precise. His eyes track Ali, observing patterns, subtle tells, potential openings. There's no aggression in Bruce's stance, only readiness. And yet, in that stillness, there is something unmistakable, certainty. Not arrogance, not bravado, but the quiet knowledge that skill and preparation matter more than sheer size. Observers in the room can feel the unspoken judgments shifting. Trainers, assistants, and a few friends of Ali lean forward slightly, their eyebrows raised, exchanging glances. Some seem to echo Ali's initial assessment. He's small. He can't possibly match Ali. Others, familiar with martial arts or Bruce's reputation, feel a spark of curiosity. The hall seems to hold its collective breath. Ali takes a small step closer, testing Bruce's reaction. The movement is casual, almost playful, but the intent is clear, to gauge confidence and composure. Bruce doesn't flinch. He adjusts his weight slightly, aligning his body naturally, signaling readiness without committing. Every tiny detail, the shift of a foot, the tilt of a chin, the focus in the eyes, communicates experience and self-control. The contrast between them is stark. Ali embodies raw force, size, and power. Bruce embodies precision, speed, and mastery of motion. The question hanging over the hall, and over everyone watching, is undeniable. Can someone so much smaller really stand against a man of Ali's size, power, and reputation? Every spectator senses it, even if they don't say it aloud. The tension is palpable, an invisible line drawn between brute strength and calculated skill. A subtle psychological war begins. Ali's confidence flirts with doubt, curiosity creeping in despite his initial dismissal. Bruce's calm focus begins to plant unease in observers who assumed size dictated outcome. Each subtle movement, Ali testing, Bruce countering with posture, footwork, and eye contact, adds layers to the suspense. It's not a fight yet. It's a silent challenge, a dance of observation, and the slow escalation of stakes. The hall itself seems to respond. The scrape of shoes against the floor is louder than before. The soft hum of air, the distant traffic outside, the faint scent of sweat and liniment, all amplify the intensity. Every person present aligns instinctively, some rooting for the powerhouse, some for the smaller, precise figure. The us versus them isn't explicit, it's implied, built through perspective and anticipation. And then the unspoken question sharpens into focus. When the first movement comes, who will the outcome favor? Size and power, or skill and precision? Every second stretches, tension mounting like a drawn bowstring. The audience, both in the hall and at home, is aligned with the uncertainty. They want to see the underdog rise, to witness what happens when expectations are defied. In this moment, the stage is perfectly set. No punches have been thrown yet, but the seeds of conflict, suspense, and revelation are planted. Every eye is locked, every mind racing, waiting for the first motion that will answer the question. Can skill truly overcome overwhelming power? The moment arrives. The room seems to contract around Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee. Every observer leans in slightly, anticipating the first movement. Ali's shadow stretches across the polished floor as he shifts weight subtly, testing the distance, his eyes locked on Bruce. There's a rhythm in the space now, an unspoken pulse, as if everyone is collectively holding their breath. Bruce moves first, but not with aggression. It's almost imperceptible, a tiny adjustment of his feet, a subtle repositioning of his center of gravity. Ali reacts instantly, his reflexes sharp, hands rising in anticipation. But Bruce's movement isn't meant to collide with Ali's force. It's designed to redirect it, to test the reaction, to probe without committing fully. The audience senses the precision. Every weight shift, every micro-movement calibrated to exploit timing and leverage, not strength. Ali throws a controlled jab, not fully committed, more a test than an attack. The air crackles with expectation. Bruce pivots, slipping just outside the line of force, his motion so fast it seems almost seamless. He demonstrates skill in the most visible way. Ali's punch, a full extension of size and power, connects only with empty air. Yet there is no harm. This is demonstration, not danger. Every observer can see the principles in action. Speed, anticipation, and control can neutralize raw power. Bruce follows with a subtle series of movements, quick foot adjustments, measured angles, and a faint tap or feint that unbalances Ali just enough to demonstrate leverage. Ali's eyes widen slightly, acknowledging the unexpected effectiveness. There's no surprise attack here, no harm done, just a clear lesson in how efficiency, precision, and timing can overcome mass. The audience can feel the tension in the room shift. What they assumed about size and strength begins to falter. Ali adjusts, showing intelligence and adaptability, shifting stance and posture to maintain balance, demonstrating that skill respects skill. Bruce mirrors these adjustments, maintaining calm control, his focus absolute. Each action, each counter, communicates a principle. Fighting is not about who hits hardest. It's about who moves first, who moves correctly, who understands the mechanics of the body and timing. Small details become monumental. A subtle pivot, a redirected hand, the placement of a foot, all are magnified in the minds of observers. Ali's power is undeniable, but Bruce's efficiency is equally evident. What the audience witnesses is a clash of philosophies. Brute strength versus refined skill, size versus strategy. And in that contrast, the central question becomes impossible to ignore. When raw power and precise skill meet, which will dictate the outcome, spectators lean closer, murmurs of admiration spreading. The cognitive dissonance is clear. What they assumed about dominance and size is being challenged in real time. The room vibrates with tension, respect, and the thrill of witnessing something extraordinary. Each movement is a lesson, each adjustment a visual explanation of how mastery can override expectation. Every observer, including the audience at home, is forced to reckon with the principle being demonstrated. Skill, timing, and precision can rival, and sometimes exceed, sheer size and strength. Ollie nods subtly, acknowledging the insight. Bruce's calm gaze holds steady, confirming that mastery is not about imposing force. It's about controlling it intelligently. If precision can defy power in these few moments, what happens when it is fully applied? The room holds its collective breath as the first demonstration ends, but the tension doesn't dissipate. It intensifies. Every movement, every glance, every subtle shift between Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee now carries meaning. Observers who were initially dismissive are leaning forward, eyes wide, trying to process what they just saw. Trainers and assistants exchange glances, their expressions a mix of surprise and disbelief. Some nod slowly, realizing that size and raw strength are not the only factors at play. Others furrow their brows, unconsciously questioning everything they thought they knew about combat. Ollie wipes a bead of sweat from his brow and adjusts his stance. His confidence is intact, but the surprise registers in micro-expressions, an eyebrow slightly raised, a pause in movement, a recalibration of timing. He knows Bruce is small, but the first demonstration proved that small does not mean powerless. Every observer can sense the shift. The giant now acknowledges that skill, speed, and precision might challenge raw force. Bruce, meanwhile, remains calm, controlled, and focused. There's no rush, no attempt to overpower. He moves with subtle adjustments, small foot pivots, shifts in weight, slight repositioning of his torso, techniques so minor that they might seem trivial if not for the reaction they provoke. These movements carry intent, designed to test Ali's adaptability and create openings without aggression. The audience senses the intelligence behind each action, a deliberate strategy that challenges assumptions in real time. The contrast between expectation and reality becomes impossible to ignore. Initially, size equaled power, and everyone assumed Ali's dominance. Now, however, the balance has shifted subtly. Observers see how efficiency can outmaneuver mass, how skill can neutralize what seems overwhelming. Every punch Ali throws must be anticipated, every motion calculated. The room itself feels suspended, as if time stretches to accommodate the subtle dance unfolding between the two legends. From multiple perspectives, the tension builds differently. Trainers notice Bruce's impeccable timing, recognizing the precision required to avoid a larger opponent's reach. Assistants marvel at Ali's adaptability, seeing him recalibrate in real time. Other boxers feel the cognitive dissonance. They understand strength in pounds and mass, yet here is proof that those measures are not absolute. If raw power and size cannot guarantee dominance, how far can skill alone carry someone in the face of overwhelming strength? Every subtle shift, every pivot, every micro-counter raises the stakes. Will Ali adjust fully to Bruce's approach, or will Bruce's technique continue to dominate? Can skill maintain advantage over sheer mass in a scenario that seems impossible at first glance? Even without direct confrontation, the escalation is clear. The energy in the room grows palpable. Whispers, exhalations, and the faint scrape of shoes punctuate the suspense. Observers are no longer just watching. They're processing, analyzing, questioning, and anticipating. Each perspective adds depth. The teacher, the student, the athlete, and the casual onlooker all see different layers of meaning, yet all are drawn into the central tension. By the end of this phase, the hall has transformed. The lesson is no longer hypothetical. Every subtle interaction between Ollie and Bruce challenges assumptions about strength, power, and capability. When skill meets raw power, who truly holds the advantage? And what does that teach us about the limits of size versus mastery? The room waits, suspended, for the next movement that will provide clarity, and the audience is powerless to look away. The air in the training hall has shifted. The initial shock of Bruce Lee's precision and Muhammad Ali's adaptation has settled, leaving a quiet, almost meditative tension. The observers, once wrapped with suspense, now take a step back, absorbing what they just witnessed. It's not just movement, they're processing principle. Every subtle pivot, every controlled reaction, every calculated shift of weight carries meaning beyond physical performance. If size and raw power are not absolute, what truly determines effectiveness in skill, strategy, and combat? Bruce leans slightly, adjusting his stance even as he rests. There is no pride in his posture, only clarity and calm. His thoughts, though unspoken, are evident in the way he watches Ali's movements. Precision is not just for technique. It is a mindset. He reflects on timing, on how anticipation allows small adjustments to have outsized impact. He considers the energy each motion requires and how efficiency can turn what seems like vulnerability into control. For Bruce, this moment is not about proving superiority. It is about demonstrating principle. Skill, timing, and understanding can, in certain circumstances, outweigh brute force. Ollie, on the other hand, wipes his brow and exhales slowly, his muscles relaxing yet still aware. There's a glint of respect in his eyes, subtle acknowledgement of a truth he has long understood but rarely faced so visibly. Strategy and precision have a value that raw strength alone cannot claim. His reflections are not of defeat, but of insight. In the brief exchange, he sees how an opponent's skill can force a reassessment of assumptions, how preparation and timing can amplify or neutralize force. Even the greatest power, when met with control and understanding, must be applied intelligently to achieve its full effect. Observers begin to murmur quietly among themselves. Trainers nod knowingly. Students lean forward, and assistants exchange glances filled with newfound appreciation. Each person is experiencing a subtle shift in understanding. No one is being told what to think. Instead, the demonstration has illuminated a principle, leaving space for personal interpretation. The lesson is internalized, not dictated. The quiet reflection invites viewers to consider their own assumptions about strength, about preparation, and about how skill and power interact. How often do we rely on what seems obvious, size, weight, reputation, without fully considering timing, precision, and efficiency? Each observer contemplates not just the outcome of the moment, but the broader implications. What they have witnessed is a realignment of perspective. Strength is no longer a simple measure of mass or force. It is a combination of understanding, technique, and awareness. The juxtaposition of Ali's raw power and Bruce's controlled mastery becomes a living metaphor for principles that extend far beyond the gym. Strategy can counter raw capability, preparation can overcome assumption, and insight can redefine expectation. Bruce and Ali share a subtle glance. There is no boastfulness, no need to assert dominance. Instead, there is acknowledgement, an unspoken understanding that each has taught the other something through presence and action. Observers sense it too. Humility and reflection elevate the moment from a demonstration of physical ability into a lesson in thought, preparation, and perception. As the room exhales collectively, the insight crystallizes. Mastery is not only about the visible power you possess, but about how you understand, control, and apply it. And lingering above all this reflection is the question the audience carries with them. If skill can counter strength in this moment, how many other assumptions in our own lives could be challenged by careful observation, timing, and understanding? The encounter concludes, but the energy in the room lingers. Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee stepped back, neither triumphant, neither defeated, yet both transformed in subtle ways. There is a mutual respect in their eyes, an unspoken acknowledgement that what happened wasn't about domination, but about understanding. Each man has witnessed the other's principles in action. Ali's raw power tempered by strategy, Bruce's precision validated against sheer strength. Observers, previously aligned instinctively with size or reputation, begin to shift. Trainers nod knowingly. Students murmur in quiet appreciation, and assistants exchange glances filled with subtle wonder. The disbelief has given way to curiosity. Everyone senses that what they just witnessed is more than an isolated lesson. It is a principle they can carry forward, a new way to interpret capability. Size alone does not dictate outcome. Timing, control, and technique can reshape expectation. The ripple effects are immediate and enduring. Those present begin to reconsider their own practices and beliefs, imagining how subtle adjustments, preparation, or strategy could redefine results in their own lives. Conversations spark, quietly, about what it means to train effectively, to measure skill, and to respect the unseen dimensions of mastery. Even without further demonstration, the moment becomes a touchstone, a reference point for questioning assumptions, recalibrating perception, and exploring the intersection of power and precision. For Ali and Bruce, the lesson resonates beyond physicality. Each departs carrying insight. One has seen the undeniable effectiveness of skill against size. The other has witnessed the intelligence of measured adaptation. Both leave the encounter not diminished, but enriched. The audience, in the room and at home, experiences a satisfying closure, an understanding of principle, yet a lingering curiosity about limits, potential, and the dynamics of skill versus strength. The story closes without a definitive winner because the point was never about victory. Instead, it is about transformation, how a single moment, a brief demonstration, can illuminate truths previously dismissed. If the obvious isn't always the answer, how often might we underestimate skill, timing, or subtle mastery in our own world? After the reflection and resolution of the encounter between Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee, the audience is primed for deeper engagement. They've witnessed skill versus power, size versus precision, and subtle lessons about timing, strategy, and mastery. This is the ideal moment to invite viewers to step into the conversation, share perspectives, and reflect on their own assumptions. Have you ever underestimated someone based on appearance, size, or first impressions?